There we go. It's the weekend. It's Mailbag. I am joined by Matt Jones, Matt Flusk, and Warren Doyle. Loads of questions again to get on with this week, so we'll get straight into it. First one off the cuff. How long would you reasonably wait for a coach if it didn't turn up, Matt?
I'd give it about 6.5 hours, I think.
I think that's like the optimal time, and if it's not there for 6.5 hours.
And then if it didn't come, I'd just go out and moan at the coach company haven't responded to us.
I reckon I'd probably tweet a minor local celebrity to see if they could sort anything out for me.
Yeah, on his magic guitar.
Yeah.
The thing about that bit, someone obviously tweeted Jamie Webster, is that so basically now their mentions are like now full of like people just tweeting random pop stars saying any chance you can have for this, Bobby Davro, and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, sick. I mean, when we went to Palace a few weeks ago, Matt, it was like 2 hours late. Well, no, it wasn't 2 hours late. It was like an hour late for us, and we were panicking at that point, and that was for an FA Cup quarter-final where we knew we were going to get levered anyway, and we were still flapping a bit after an hour. So 6.5 hours when you go into a European Cup final, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Someone's got to take control of that situation there and say, we need to find an alternative route here. This is not happening.
Yeah. I remember waiting an hour for Dave outside the library in Liverpool before we went to that Man United game. And yeah, that was bad enough. So 6.5 hours, bloody hell. Anyway, that's given us some entertainment this morning. But we'll kick off with this one. What's the best TV spin-off? This is on the back of Kenobi starting yesterday, which I can recommend to any Star Wars nerd. It's amazing. Matt Flusk, come to you first. What's the best TV spin-off?
I think quite topical at the moment. You probably have to say Better Call Saul. For me, it's like, I think it's far, far superior to Breaking Bad. But I think looking back, I don't think you can possibly top Frasier. To take what is like pretty much a side character from a really big series and then make it a totally different series in its own right. It was just incredible writing and just absolutely sensational for me.
Yeah, that is a belter of jobs. I was actually thinking Damon and Debbie, the Brookside spin-off. Damon gets killed at the end of it. We don't want to give any spoilers for anyone who's not seen it. But, Warren?
Yeah, I was going to say the same. I can only really think of something where the spin-off in Frasier's become bigger than the actual show. I think we've had this question before a while back, but yeah, as Matt said, I've not watched everything of Frasier, but the episodes I've watched is very clever, very sophisticated writing, and I can't think of something which is spin-off which is topped and being as successful as that. So I think I'm with that on that one.
On the flip side, Joey was absolutely terrible, wasn't it?
Joey was dreadful. I think I watched 10 minutes of one. It was
never seen any of that.
Awful. Matt, what do you reckon?
Yeah, so I mean, the ones that the lads have mentioned there, the ones that come to mind, obviously. Two that are a little bit different and probably not technically spin-offs, but it's season 7 of Curb, which is all about Seinfeld. It's got all the Seinfeld characters back in it, and they do sort of like a fake Seinfeld reunion on Seinfeld, like on Curb. Like that's sort of a spin-off within a series, which is great.
Yeah.
The one that I actually thought this question might have been about is, again, it's kind of a spin-off, but not really, is We Own This City, which is obviously by David Simon, who did The Wire. It's got loads of the characters from The Wire. Loads of the people who played characters in The Wire coming back and doing completely different roles as actors. It's effectively about a corrupt police department in Baltimore, and I've watched like the first couple of episodes of it, and it's absolutely amazing.
Oh, Sam, what's that on?
It's well, you can't get it in the UK yet. Like I've had to download it through dodgy means, but I've seen so many people just buzzing off it that I thought, I'll give it a watch this week. But yeah, it's absolutely class. It's got the.
I think.
Go on, Matt.
Sorry, I think it's going to be in July in this country.
Yeah. But it's got it's basically got loads of, like, if you love The Wire, it's got loads of the same sort of faces in that, but playing. It's like the guy who played like one of the main baddies in The Wire, Marlowe, is like one of the police officers, and like, some of the people who play corner kids in The Wire are like in the police department in it and stuff like that. So it's a bit mad, but it's from what I've seen so far of it, it's absolutely boss, and can't wait to watch more of it.
Yeah, sounds nice. I'll get on that. Next up, worst place you've been sick? Matt Jones, for no particular reason.
Oh my God. This was the one on the list that I couldn't really think about. Do you know what? There's one time we were coming back from a family do, and I never really get sick after drinking. But like for some reason, I was like, we went through the tunnel, and like just as we got halfway through the tunnel, I was like, I'm gonna spew here. And you know, they had to pull over. It was actually with me in-laws in the car. They had to pull over on the side of like, you know, like when you come out the Wallasey tunnel and you go up round, like the circular bit. Like we had to pull over like in the hard shoulder there. And I got out the car and was just about to spew me. I wasn't actually sick in the end, but I remember vividly pulling over in that little bit where all like the diagonal white lines are on the floor and being like, this is a low point. I've reached an nadir here. But so that was a bad one.
Horrible. Yeah, I went through a phase like sort of 16, 17 where I was just thrown up in various people's bathrooms after getting on the ale, which wasn't nice at all. Don't think my dad knows this, but he's probably watching this and will probably batter me now. Warren?
I went to Hull away a few years ago, and it was just before New Year. I think we played them on the 30th, and then we were travelling back. That was it. We stayed overnight and travelled back on the 31st, ready to have little New Year get together. And my mate says to me, right, we're staying over. I found us a place to stay. I'm like, okay, nice one. He said, it's got a 24-hour bar. Brilliant. Can't beat that. He said, it's not far from the stadium. Fantastic. That'll do us. Little walk back if we're too drunk. There's just one problem. I'll go on, what's that? It's got no stars on TripAdvisor. It's a no-star hotel. Oh, well, it's all right. It's only a place to sleep. That's fine. Not a problem. So we go to Hull at this point had just been given City of Culture status in the UK. So it was, there's a little area in Hull, like a little strip, and it's actually quite a nice area, bars, cafes, that sort of thing. So we were down there beforehand having a few drinks. So we had something to eat. And I think I don't know what it was, but to this day, it must have been what killed me. Anyway, we go to the game, I think we drew 2-2, and Tom Davies and Barkley scored. Come back, took over this Hull pub, just Evertonians everywhere and drinking. We were there till closing. We go back, great 24-hour bar, happy days, and all he had on sale was Strongbow dark fruit. So doesn't matter. Yeah, what's on telly here? And kids, you know, bearing in mind it's a no-star hotel. The only thing they had on the telly was Babe Station, to where, you know, happy days. Sit there and watch that.
I mean, I'm going to ask where did you stay?
I can't even remember the name.
24-hour bar with Babe Station on.
Honestly, it was like Phoenix Nights on tour. Honestly, anyway, so we're there, and then the next thing I go, I have to go to the toilet, boys. I'm not feeling great here. So we go to the toilet, come back down. Like, I'll finish my pint. I'll be all right. We go to bed. About an hour later, I woke up, and you know the dread of like, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be sick.
Wet mouth.
Threw up everywhere. Thought, right, that's it now. I've been sick. I'll be fine. I've got up, whatever the problem is. I must have been up, and my mate was in the same room as me. So I was on one bed, he was over there. I must have got up about 4 or 5 times that night, to the point where you've got nothing left to throw up anymore. I'm sorry to be so vulgar here, but it's just acid really. Anyway, next day, I just can't stop heaving. Cannot stop heaving. And we had to get the train back to near Manchester and then change at Manchester. And it's the worst train journey I've ever had in my life. It was horrible. And I don't know what it was that made me that ill, but God, never again. It was awful. So if you're going to be sick anywhere, don't do it in a 0-star hotel.
Have you got the name of that hotel by any chance?
It's somewhere in Hull. Just Google it.
It's everything I imagine the party pad to be, that.
It's honestly, I like it. All sounded so promising on paper, and then apart from the 0-star, and then it just went dreadful after that. So, yeah.
That has just reminded me. Actually, at uni, I once threw up on myself in my sleep. I don't think I woke. I vaguely remember sitting up in the night, and I didn't realise until the next morning when I was having a dream that a cat was sleeping on me, because I could feel something heavy on me. I just thrown up on the like duvet all over myself and fell back asleep. No. What a vile creature, Matt. Where's place you've thrown up?
Oh, about 2019, I was working out of town, down at the very far end of Kent. We were staying in Rye, and it's got about 5 pubs in it. Everything from like a gastro pub all the way to like a flat roofer. We're in this quite sort of nice pub, and one of the young lads I was working with decided to challenge me to down a pint, and I was drinking like the IPA stuff that I drink. And it was ice cold. And I mean, like you could see little ice crystals forming on the outside of the glass. So take this pint, threw it back, ginned it, fine. And he was like, how fast was that? I was like, oh, down a pint. And then he says, do another one. So me being off my head, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? But that was a big mistake because the second one, ice cold pint, put a chill on my belly and I just felt it straight away. And I just legged it to get outside. And it had like this little double door, like a vestibule with like, little umbrella stand and stuff like that and plants. And I put my hand over my mouth as I went out and I just couldn't stop it. And it was like Play-Doh going through one of them shape things. And it just went through your fingers and out the side. And I just basically legged it back to my digs, and we couldn't go back in there after that. And there's still lads down in our Gloucester office who've been told about this. So anytime I go down there to work, there's like, oh yeah, you're Matt Flusk, aren't you? Right.
That's the sort of thing that you'll never shake, is it? That's like, that's with you for the entirety of your time there, though.
People don't listen to this when they're eating, do they? I hope not.
I hope not.
I can't imagine like it'd be your background audio of choice when you're having your tea of a night.
Well, it's not our fault, the questions we get, is it? We've got to answer them, honestly.
This is one of mine, to be fair.
Yeah,
it is. Oh, the reason for this one was like people throwing up at 10 Downing Street after a really shit party there. Next one, bit of a toughy question here. What's the best, worst moment of 21-22 in Everton's season? We could probably just do a quick recap here. Matt Jones.
Worst moment was probably being on a stag do in Magaluf, which is horrible, and hearing that Burnley had gone 2-1 up against Watford with 5 minutes to go, and thinking 5 points is a lot. That is a lot to make up, and thinking that we were done. Best moments. I mean, aside from the obvious, I'd probably go Leicester away. That was just unbelievable, wasn't it, Les, that day? Yeah. Those 20 minutes after full time where Spirits of the Blues were just going over and over and over again. I've never seen anything like that from an away end. That was just unbelievable to be a part of. I mean, the clear winner there is Dom's goal against Palace, but just trying to think outside the box a little bit, Leicester was incredible.
Yeah, they were what I had as well. Leicester and Palace at home. I think Watford at home was one of my low points as well. Those like 4 goals in the last 15 minutes are just like scorched onto me retina.
It was that goal where like all our players just ran into each other, wasn't it?
you could probably put Sending the Clowns over that and it wouldn't look out of place, would it?
It was just proper comedy, wasn't it? But yeah, that was a bad one. But we have had some highs. Well, not highs. We've had some
standouts, haven't we?
Dramatic moments, you could say. Yeah.
Yeah, for such a shit season, we have had some like good moments there. And like unbelievable goals and games and stuff. But Warren?
Yeah, I think with the obvious of being Tom's goal, I think the parallel to that would have been the Burnley. The Burnley result was probably the lowest point. But for me, another dreadful moment where I sat there and thought, what is going on with our football club was Norwich away. Everyone was beating them left, right and centre, and we go down there and lose. And I thought, that's us again. There's been about 6 moments this season I thought we're gone. And that was another one. Best moments for me, it's not even an underrated moment, but just the whole like why Everton is so weird. The Iwobi goal in the 98th minute because of what happened in that match with the fella tying himself to the post and then the sending off and then just everything like. And then when that goal went in, that was as emotional I've been this season at a goal. Because that wasn't coming from anywhere. That was incredible. And that again is another timely reminder of how special Goodison is. That goal. So yeah, I think the Iwobi goal for me.
Another amazing thing about that night was that all the Newcastle fans brought inflatable T-Rexes down with them. And Jordan Pickford didn't even play, and they conceded a 19-minute goal against 10 men to get beat. It was like, yeah. Enjoy your trip back, lads. Yeah. Hope you
remember the video from the Newcastle end of the goal as well, and you just see this random T-Rex go across the screen. Brilliant. Happy days.
Yeah, fell to that. See, that sort of gets forgotten about a little bit, doesn't it? Because Palace was so good and Leicester was so good, but yeah, that was pretty pivotal. That, especially because when Alan got sent off, and then the 17 minutes extra or whatever went up, it was like, well, we're definitely not winning this in injury time.
That was one of those games where I remember coming off the ground thinking I could stay out all night. Yeah. Like it was just like I remember like editing the post match the next day and putting it on and thinking like, bloody hell, I'm embarrassed of how hyped up I am here, because it was just like I had a whole tube of Smarties before we recorded or something. It's not like a 10-year-old kid going off their head, but no, it was just there's so many games you come out of this season where I felt like exhausted and knackered, but that one it was like fuel. It was incredible.
And do you know, again, going back to how it's been a dreadful season, and like but what sort of made it feel nice at the end is obviously all the special moments. The dramatic special moments we've had. Do you know what's completely gone under the radar out of all the moments we got? Tamari Gray's goal against Arsenal. Like, that was unbelievable as well, but that's just almost forgotten about now because of how brilliant the last few games been. Anyway, yeah, mad season.
Yeah, Matt. Flusk, sorry.
Moments that were bad and then turned out good. So like Oil Boy's one of them. Like, people ready to lynch that fella, and then
Oil Boy.
Now he's like a hero. But like on Watford again, obviously terrible result, but probably one of the most fun post matches I've done, because it was just such a laugh. It was just, you just had to sit there just laughing your head off at it, like the manner in which we did it. But the one that stands out for me has been in the Denby Castle underneath in the cellar just before we kick off against Burnley away. And Mark Mosey turns towards us and he just looks us dead in the eye and says, "We're going to lose this and stay up." He's a horrible get-in. He is a horrible get-in.
Yeah, no one needed that.
I throw him a pint now. I said, if you're right, you've got a pint coming.
God.
I'll tell you what, do you know what another moment of the season is for me? And I wasn't even there. Is when our very own Matt Flusk turns around to Keith and says, "That second goal's a bit Gary Ablett, That is a massive moment in Everton's season, that.
Yeah. I was telling the kids the same thing at half time, because I was trying to convince them that, this isn't dead and buried. It's happened before in quite scary circumstances. And the team we were playing at Selhurst Park at the time. There's lots of parallels here. And then we only went and bloody did it, which I really didn't expect.
I'm sure we'll do all this over the summer. There's so many, I think the worst half of football we played all season was the first half against Wolves. Do in that away game when Gabaman played in midfield?
Yeah.
I just remember watching it, because that was straight after Watford, wasn't it? We got beat 5-2 and we conceded 4 goals in the last 12 minutes, and then we were 2-0 down, I think, on half an hour, and they'd had a goal disallowed as well, I think. And it was I think it was then, obviously, I think in the back of all our minds, we knew Benitez wasn't going to work, but I think it was then in that spell where I was watching us just thinking, this is not happening, this. And poor Dominic Calvert-Lewin was in the Monday Night Football studio, and Carragher was asking him all these questions about how terrible Everton had been, and he's just sort of going, well, it's we can maybe turn it around in the second half, hopefully. It's just like, what are we doing here? This is horrific.
Get yourself a pragmatic manager, lads. That's what you want. James has said he's off to see Liverpool 90s indie legend Space tonight. That was last night at the Hare and Hounds in Birmingham. Only holds about 200. So what's the biggest band or act you've seen in the most intimate venue? I don't think this went on the thread, so I'll give you a minute to think while I read out some answers to it. Julie said Depeche Mode at Barrowlands. Famous Heaney said Hall & Oates in a small nightclub in Edinburgh. Christ, that'd be good.
Wow.
Atletico Timbo said Coldplay in front of about 30 people, which was nice. I reckon that would have been when they were doing a double headline tour with a band called Terrace, who everyone said was going to be better than Coldplay, and weren't. Sai said Van Morrison in the Late Show studio at Lime Grove. More people in the band almost than in the studio. God, that would have been something else. I think mine, I saw the Libertines in front of about 50 people in the Academy 4 in Liverpool, which it's a tiny room in the uni that didn't even know existed until I walked in there. And the Strokes downstairs at the O2 on Hotham Street.
Do you know that, Les? Libertines 50 people. Like, is it not? I've never been to a gig that small with like a rock band. Is it not just like a bit awkward when there's like that few people there?
No, I think because they had so much energy on the stage, it translated to the crowd. So there was no like self-consciousness or anything. You were just watching a band who were like massively on an upward trajectory, thinking, fucking hell, these are good. And you could see they were good, and you knew it was like a special sort of a moment, and they were going to be a pretty big band. I reckon if it was just like 4 plodders just knocking out a load of tunes and there was 50 people in there, I think it would be awkward. I went to see the Supernaturals in the O2 downstairs, but it was about 10 years after they'd been like the heyday in the 90s. So it was probably about 2007. And there was about 10 people in there. That was awkward. So yeah, I think it depends on the band and what they're doing. Anyone got any answers to this you can think of?
I've seen Space Live. I interviewed them years ago in one of my old jobs, and Tommy, the lead, he's brilliant fella, and Franny, big red light, but we'll let him off for that. But they're really good lads, and after I'd interviewed them, they said to me, "Oh, we're playing in Liverpool tonight, doing the homecoming gig. Do you want to come?" And I said, "I'd love to come." I said, "I haven't got any tickets though." He said, "Don't worry about it. Just here's your name. Here's the man. The manager was out the door. Give your name to the manager." And it was in town, and it was, do you know where Hebe's is?
Yeah.
It was a couple of I can't remember the name of the venue, but it's a couple of doors down from Hebe's.
Zanzibar.
Yeah,
It might have been where it's got the floor and then upstairs. Now, granted, it wasn't as intimate as 50 people. There's probably a couple of hundred there, but it was great because we were on the little VIP section on the top. I'm going to say VIP. I mean, it wasn't like, wasn't like hospitality or nothing like that, but just you could go to the bar a bit easy and you were watching over it. And afterwards, when the gig had finished, they were milling around with everyone having a chat, and I walked over fully expecting them to forget who I was. And they were, "Oh, what a nice one, well done, thanks for coming, have you had a good night?" and all that. So I've always been a fan of Space, even when I was a kid as well, when they were on the scene in the 90s. And that was, I'm not a massive gig goer and music festival person, but that was a brilliant gig. And yeah, they were good fellas and good lads. And yeah, it's nice to hear that they're still doing the business, touring as well.
That's just reminded me, actually, the Zanzibar. I saw Shaq supported by the Coral in the Zanzibar, which is just an insanely good gig. Matt Jones?
The only one I can think of is I saw the Cribs when they were just sort of on the up when I was at uni in Leeds in a nightclub there called...
Leeds band as well, aren't they?
I can't remember what it was called. I can't remember if it was Cockpit or Wire. It was one of those two places that they played in there. And they were just sort of like, they were sort of on the up there. And like, yeah, they were absolutely boss. And I remember going to go see them sort of at the start of uni, they weren't like quite mainstream, and then towards the end, they made it pretty much. I remember going to see them at the O2 Academy in Leeds as well. So yeah, they're the only one really. I'm not cool enough really to get into small intimate gigs with big bands or know enough about bands that are on the up to go and see them before they make it. So yeah, that's the only one I can think of really.
So were Cribs just like a local up and coming band when you got to uni?
I think it was sort of obvious they were going to be massive, but yeah, I just remember like people saying we need to go to this gig. I didn't really know that much about them, but no, they were absolutely boss. And then yeah, the one at the O2, they were supported by Johnny Marr.
Oh, sound.
Yeah, it's class. Which is the answer to another question.
Well, yeah, that's the one that we're on to next after this one. Matt, Flusk.
Good link. I've not really been to many gigs really overall, and most of them are big ones, so I'd probably have to defer to my family on this. My dad once saw OMD in like the lobby of the new Liverpool Museum, and that was just like people just standing around, and I think there was only about 50 odd people there. But I think my sister wins the one on this. She went to see Arctic Monkeys in Barfly, which is also just a few doors down from Hebe's, and she still got the ticket stub. It was £6, and she said there was about 30 odd people there.
Jesus, that's
when they were very, very, very new, when they were just like doing little, uni clubs and stuff like that. Like £6. Imagine that now. But she saw absolutely loads in there, and like she had Newton Faulkner kept on a couch once and all sorts. And like Jeffrey Lewis, who's like, you might know, he's like sort of an American sort of folk rock obscure artist, but he went out and did the big shop with them and stuff after his gig, because she had all these mates who were in like the folk music scene. So,
I like the way she's domesticating all these rock bands and stuff.
Well, my nan turned up to meet her for lunch, and Newton Faulkner was just lying there on the couch, and she was like, "This place is a disgrace," and she pointed straight at him and said, "You better have this cleaned up by the time we get back." And he's just lying there on the couch like, "What?"
Amazing. Liam has asked on a similar note, best support act seen at a gig. Matt Floss, will come back to you on this one.
Ooh, probably. It's a very personal one for me, but I went to see Willie Mason when I was like 17, and the support act was Elvis Perkins, who was actually the son of Anthony Perkins, who played Norman Bates in Psycho. and they were just absolutely. I still love them now. Like they've only made like 2 records in about 20 years, but absolutely phenomenal. Like they had like a big, massive drum and like violin and trumpet and stuff. It's just absolutely incredible they were. And one of my mates from sixth form was at the same thing, and I was saying that like on the Monday afterwards, saying like, "How bloody good per day?" He's like, "I know," like completely outshone him, like, which is a bit moody, but just a very personal one for me. But I'll tell you, the worst one I saw was Bat for Lashes supporting Radiohead. The world's worst tribute act. She must have gone through every single artist from like the 70s and 80s. Kate Bush, all sorts, just ripped every single one of them off. Absolutely garbage.
Was that Lancashire Cricket Ground?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah. Radiohead were good, though. As ever. Warren?
Do you know what? All the gigs I've ever been to, and as I said before, I'm not a massive gig goer, festival person. There's only been one act, and it's the main act. So I haven't even got an answer to this, to be honest with you. But I did remember seeing, I don't even know his name, and he only sang one song. I went to visit my friends in Minneapolis, and they took me to Minneapolis Zoo, and they've got like a concert area, and we saw Bell and Sebastian, and he had a guy there, and I think he was a local artist, and he sang one song, and everyone was like, it got everyone warmed up, like, and it was really good. And I remember thinking he was all right, but I mean, I can't even, do you know what? It's just a non-thing because I can't even remember his name, can't even remember any of the songs, so it's probably pointless me telling the story. But
I think Bell and Sebastian at Minneapolis Zoo is the real story there anyway. To be honest.
They had like, it was weird, like is it an amphitheatre? Is that what it's called? Where you're outdoor and go. It was like that, but it was only a little one. And yeah, I'd obviously heard Bell and Sebastian and that. And saw them, and it was brilliant. It was really good, actually. Really good.
Yeah. Matt, are you gonna say Johnny Marr, support the Cribs?
That, or when I went to see Stone Roses at Heaton Park, Primal Scream supported them, which was amazing.
Oh, that's
yeah.
I also just asked Chelsea when she came in the room, then she said hers is little mix supporting Girls Aloud.
I can't argue with that.
You cannot argue with that.
Yeah.
I think she probably wins that one, to be fair.
I reckon so, yeah. That is a belter. Foxy's asked, is Lampard the Messiah or just a very sexy boy? I'm going to go somewhere in between, I reckon. Warren?
As soon as the question come up on Twitter, all I could think about was Shawn Michaels' theme music in the wrestling. I said the other day on Subs Weekly, he could turn out to be a very bang average manager for us, but what he's done in the last 6 weeks, he's got credit in the bank now, and I think more power to him, and already looking forward to next season. But yeah, he's the Messiah. Why not? He's going to lead us to untold glories and riches.
Lovely stuff, Matt.
Yeah, let's go down that route. I think it was, this is a kick about yesterday. I think Mosey was spot on what he said in regards to, at the end of this season, he was always going to be judged as either done a good job or not a good job based on whether we stayed up or got relegated. Yeah. And we stayed up, so he's done a good job. But I think I can't remember if Sarah said this on Subs Weekly or after or before Warren on Tuesday, but she said that Lampard gave her a hug after one of the games recently, and I said, "What did he smell like?" And she said, "He smells like money." So, with that in mind,
answer.
With that in mind, I'm going to go for Messiah.
Matt Lusk.
Yeah, I was very much a skeptic when he came in, but yeah, he's won me over. He's made some very good tactical decisions. He seems to be learning by the week, and he's just absolutely thrown himself into the culture of the club, hasn't he? And you can't really ask for more than that. And the contrast between him and the guy before, just in terms of like the way he allows the players to conduct themselves and engage with the fans and the club media and stuff like that, it's a world away. So I'm all in.
Yeah. Well, Laura said very sexy, by the way. And Laura asked, are Crocs an acceptable form of footwear? Matt Lusk, looking back to you on this.
Nah.
No? Warren?
No.
They're not, and I wouldn't get away with wearing them. However, I do have to say, Dan Vane's pictures, the rig outs in them pictures that he put up, he looked phenomenal.
Yeah. And
if I tried to attempt to do that, see, I'm very basic. I'm your polo jeans, trainers. I'm your I'm your JD Sports Shop, mannequin, really. I just wear all the sensible stuff. And then trackies for comfort and all that. So I couldn't get away with wearing anything a little bit different and a little bit obscure. But nah, Crocs not for me. I'm sorry. I'd get laughed at. I'm at that point now where there's, other people can get away with it. as mentioned previously, are mate time. So I'm going to have to say no on that, I'm afraid, Laura.
That is a man so stylish that he can wear Crocs and dungarees together and still looks amazing.
Yeah, that I'm very much in the same camp as Warren. I think for me, they're like footy shirts with names and number on the back. Like once you get to a certain age, it's just no. Like you can't. I think when you're above 12 or 13, you shouldn't have a player's name on the back of your shirt.
Or your own name.
Or your own name, yeah.
Yeah, I never want to try on a pair of Crocs because I know they will be the comfiest thing in the world and I'll never want to take them off my feet. So I don't even want to start that. Yeah.
No.
I just couldn't get away with that's
No,
damage enough, sorry.
Ed McCosh has asked, what's the most outrageous / illegal thing you'd do simply because Richarlison asked you to do it? Mike Blakely responded to this and said, for him to stay one more year, terrible, terrible things, which I'm pretty sure we can all relate to. Matt Jones?
What are we saying? Like minor assault? What are we saying? For him to stay for another year?
You probably don't want to out yourself too much as a bit of a deviant with this question.
Invade the pitch. That's technically breaking the rule, isn't it? I don't know. It depends what was on offer, I think, is the answer to this one.
Just because Richarlison wants you
to. Yeah, I'd probably say minor assault.
Yeah, I'd probably send someone for him, definitely. Warren?
I would let down the tyres of a coach that is en route to Paris via the Rocket Pub. That'd be my minor illegal thing, that too.
I've just remembered there was a plot twist in that story in that apparently the coach drove past them and beeped as well. So it just gets better.
Have you seen the Google page has had loads of 5-star reviews of Everton? It's absolutely heartbreaking if it was you on your book.
Do you know what? Do you remember it was a Guillaume Balaguer as well? And he can't sell his book in the UK anymore because of all the reviews you put up. Listen, that is better than winning trophies. That how we react and how we treat people. I'm sorry, there's no other club in the land. Give me us over winning trebles, cups, the lot, because that's what it's all about.
When we're in a relegation battle again next year, and we need to do the bus welcomes, we need to get coach innovations to drive the team to the ground.
Big banner, coach innovations, aren't we?
I think there's the title anyway. There's the title, coach innovations. Matt Flusk.
What would I do for Richie? I'd slide tackle Jamie Carragher from behind.
Oh, like that.
So minor assault.
Yeah. 2-footed right in the Achilles. Lovely stuff. Mike Blakey's asked, if you were going to be kicked to the ground by a former Premier League winning captain, is Patrick Viera the one you'd least like to do it? Joe said to me, he said Roy Keane for him, which I think is a fair shout. Warren, what are you saying?
Slightly. I'm trying to think back, because there was a few tough captains back in the early Premier League days, wasn't there?
What about Vincent Kompany?
He'd sort you out, wouldn't he? Vincent Kompany. He was. Tell you what, Dave Watson would probably give you a good kicking as well, wouldn't he? I think Vincent Kompany is the one now, Matt. I think that's a great shout. Vincent Kompany. I mean, do you know what I like as well? Again, talking about us as a fan collective, I love how the general consensus after that happened was he's a dickhead, not about Viera, but about the fan who did it. And it was like, yeah, he deserved everything he got. Fair play to Viera. And that again, that sums it up. We didn't come to leap into the defence like and maybe another club would have done for their supporters show. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
100%. That kid was very much like too young to remember Viera the player. Otherwise, he would not have done it.
Yeah. God, he must have been terrifying to play against.
I mean, Duncan was captain for a while, wasn't he? So you wouldn't want to do it to Duncan either, would you?
No.
So
he was a violent bastard, Viera, when he played, wasn't he? Like,
yeah.
And even he still like when you watch him interview now, he still carries this air like this really calm, composed manager. Like he doesn't really get wound up on the sidelines or anything, does he? But he was sort of like he was like solid in a way which he didn't have to pretend he was solid. He just did things that you looked at and thought, you're obviously solid. And like some of the tackles he put it in the way he threw people about. But yeah, that's proper hardness in a way, isn't it? Really, when you think about it.
But yeah, he never acted the hard man. He never gave it the big one. He was just a bit brutal.
He wasn't a hard man, though, was he? Really, you don't put him in that category. But he physically imposing and strong, which, just like Matt said, makes him solid.
Yeah, Matt, what you saying? I reckon you could take Viera.
Probably now, not back in the day. Are we just saying Premier League managers or Premier League winning managers?
It did actually say
Captains.
Premier League winning captain, yeah.
About managers, yeah, sorry, captains. All right, so obviously you can't say Gerrard then, because you wouldn't want it to be him, would you? Like the embarrassment of that.
Oh God, yeah.
Then again, I don't go out in Southport much. So.
Yeah, I think I'm going to land on Viera or Keane, one of them.
They're the obvious one. I missed the question when it said Premier League winning captains. So they're the obvious.
Company still fits, doesn't he? Suppose.
Company's the one.
Gary's asked, ever worked with someone who's so bad at the job but literally gets away with murder? If you wonder what my question is, it's in reference to this clown who's in charge of the country. I've met a lot of middle managers who are clearly shit at the jobs, but just float around doing nothing really, and just bump themselves up the corporate ladder. I think pretty much everyone's probably seen that in the workplace.
There's an obvious Everton joke to make here, isn't there? With some people who've been at the football club in recent years, but let's not.
Let's not lower ourselves to that. Matt, I reckon you've worked with some clowns like that. Matt Flusk, sorry.
Oh no, I couldn't possibly say. Working in such a crucial, high hazard industry with such high stakes, everyone is supremely qualified and very professional. And not at all people who are just climbing the ladder and absolutely useless and constantly making messes that I have to clean up.
Hey, Warren?
Do you know what? Without climbing the ladder and getting into a spot where I'm earning a lot of money, it was probably me back in the day when I used to work in some of the jobs I used to do. I was dreadful at some of the stuff I used to do. I remember I was a forklift for the summer. I was a forklift truck salesman. And I didn't sell one forklift truck. I was able to rent one out. So there was that for the summer. What else have I done?
What was your sales pitch then for selling forklifts? Can you drive one?
Well, I was supposed to get training to drive one, but I never ended up doing that. Do you know what? How old was I at the time? I think I was 18. It was my first job out of sixth form. And I used to just go in, and you go into the industrial site and you walk into the offices and, do you need a forklift truck? No. All right then, mate. See you later. Have a good day. That was my sales pitch because I had no experience and I'm not a salesman. Do you know what I mean? But that was that. I think.
Did they even know you were selling them? Or did they think you just robbed one and it was outside?
They used to give us these little leaflets, to leave with them, say if you ever need one, here's our number and all that. So I thought my job was done by just giving them a leaflet. I'll go call, so naive at 18 years of age. But yeah, I don't think I sold one. And I think it ended up actually costing the company more in wages than actually selling them. And so yeah, that was me. I was the one who was shit at the job.
Love that. That's amazing. Matt, can you top that?
Oh God, no! I was thinking the same. People probably said the same about me when I used to work in insurance because I'm terrible at it. I have no interest whatsoever. But oh God, that's amazing.
You need a forklift truck? No. Okay.
Imagine Warren rocking on with a forklift.
You used to turn up to these industrial sites and it was in the middle of summer as well, so it was 30 degrees out and you're walking in a suit and you're just traipsing around and people are just, oh, not today, mate, I'm not interested. Yeah, didn't sell one. Didn't even manage to rent one out for a month or something to a company. Yeah.
I mean, that's just bad company policy. I've never been in a position to procure a forklift truck, but if I was, I think the last person I want to get one from is someone in a suit.
Yeah, some 18-year-old kid in a suit.
An 18-year-old kid who can barely grow a tash.
Right, last question, and it's a big one. Steve Hardy's asked, are you going to be avoiding the game tonight or watching it in your Madrid shirt? It's an avoid from me. Matt?
Yeah, avoid. We've got some of their mates up this weekend and we're going out for tea somewhere. So there's no tallies in there. I'm going to turn my phone off. I genuinely don't care.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Same. Warren?
I miss being back home and I miss, living back home and going to match regularly. But there's one thing not living at home at the minute has got its advantages for, and it's that I'm not surrounded by loads of them everywhere and pubs full of them everywhere. So I will be avoiding, but just out of like, not just because it's them. Football's been a bit crap anyway lately, and I didn't watch the Champions League final last year. I watched it for a few years actually, and I think if it's not Everton, I'm not really that interested anymore. So I'll be very much avoiding it. I think a little bit of GTA tonight on the PlayStation, a little bit of GTA Online or something else, and yeah, avoiding it massively. And then I think I'll be crying it in with the bets though. I think Liverpool on penalties is the one, isn't it? Or Liverpool in extra time. So I'll be putting about 30 quid in bets on just to make money out of misery, I think, tonight.
Yeah. Three trophies on penalties would be something. I was just going to go over to Matt Jones then for some dog content, but she got off.
No, she was barking. So.
Oh, okay. Like Matt Floss finally. Oh, she's there.
Dog content.
Oh.
Matt Floss, you will be avoiding it with me.
Yeah, we're going to be on the beach. Although I might put an alert on my phone for when Real Madrid go 1-0 up to stick the 20 quid bet on them to win it. Have a nice little Brucey bonus off them. They are quite reliable for that, aren't they?
Yeah, I've made a fair bit because they've gone behind loads in the last few weeks, haven't they? And then came back and won. So
fingers crossed.
Yeah, I remember they made an absolute fortune when they beat Barcelona in the semi-final.
Champions League, yeah.
Yeah. As soon as they scored one goal, I stuck. I think it was like a 10 on them to win 3-0, 10 on them to win 4-0, and 10 on them to qualify. And it ended up paying for the trip to the south of France.
Bloody hell. That is decent. Yeah. So if you're placing any bets tonight, mate, let me know and I'll do the same. Right, that is it for this week's mailbag. Thanks to Matt, and Warren. Thanks to everyone who sent questions in. We will catch you next time.